Hello there folks, welcome into this buy one get one free here today. It's a buy one get one free. Two videos up here for me to react to. First one up here is Dan Ives talking about some stocks here, maybe some opportunities in the market. So looking forward to getting that one. It'll be interesting to hear if he has anything to say about Palantir stock or not, because he has been talking about Palantir last couple months. And then we're going to get into this one. Investors are positioning for the everything rally to continue. So I want to hear what data and information they have in regards to this, because this should be very interesting. So appreciate you guys joining me as always. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. We are at a new all-time high subscribers. I think we're at 37,000 or really close to 37,000. So hey, make sure you join me on Twitch today. There'll be pinned comment down there. We got a bunch of earnings. It's going to be a 3-hour beast live stream on Twitch here today, because after the bell, Broadcom's reporting, Lululemon's reporting, DocuSign, RH is reporting, and Vail Resorts is reporting, which are three rich people stocks after the bell here today. So looking really forward to today's live stream. It's going to be a 3-hour beast. We will be listening to the entire RH call live on there, which is always one of my favorite conference calls to listen to every single earnings season. So yeah, pin comment down there if you want to join me for that 3-hour beast here today. Okay. Already, Microsoft is leading the way in AI. Let's hear what Dan Ives has to say about some stocks here.
Securities analyst Bob Pisani also joins us to talk about the sort of discrepancy between tech and everybody else. But first, Dan, on Microsoft, how much of a bellwether is it?
I mean, right now the trophy case for AI is in Redmond. And I think if you look, Microsoft's really the torchbearer. They're leading the way on AI because of Copilot. And what we've talked on in this program is that for every $100 of cloud spend, we think there's an incremental 35 to 40 of AI spend. I think this is a golden age led by Microsoft. Now you're seeing Google and others start to get on the train. And
I like how you mentioned that, for every $100 of cloud spend, talking about $40+ potentially in AI spend. That's a pretty powerful number. I mean, if AWS can put up something similar, wow.
To start of a new tech bull market, AI driving it.
Any news you expect from Investor Day today?
I think some sense in terms of maybe on the OpenAI, post-OpenAI soap opera, depending on the questions. Nadella really talking about the strategic footprint going into 2024. Look, this is it's a champagne quarter for Microsoft. It's really been a champagne year, but ultimately if you go into 2024, it's just the beginning. I believe the first, second inning of where AI is going, and everyone's trying to play catch up to Nadella and Redmond.
Well, meanwhile, the story today in the market is really Alphabet stock price.
Okay, before we go into other stocks here, when I look at the AI market, I really see, and I think this is important, okay? This is really important. There's going to be a lot of winners in different ways than other companies, right? If I look at AI, there's a lot of winners. NVIDIA is a huge winner. We know that, right? AMD is going to be a winner, right? More so in 2024 and in future years. If we look at, obviously, Microsoft's going to be a winner. Google, it's debated if they're going to be a winner or not. And the main reason is it could disrupt some of their traditional business model. We'll see how that plays out over the coming years. So I think Google's kind of up in the air. They're probably a net winner as well, right? Some people are talking about Apple. We'll see about Apple in regards to them. If I think about smaller companies, there's a lot of talk that Trade Desk could be a beneficiary. Obviously, Palantir is going to be a huge beneficiary. Snowflake's going to be a big beneficiary. AWS with Amazon is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries probably in the world that's not talked about enough. And so there's a lot of opportunities. Even you look at companies like Tesla, right, in self-driving vehicles and making decisions and everything they got going on there, they'll be a beneficiary. So there's a lot of beneficiaries of AI over this next 5-10 years. And, some companies, it's going to matter more for their financial performance than to others. For some companies, it's going to matter more for their business model, protection around their business model, creating a bigger moat around their business model. Maybe it's not as big of numbers, but it may create a bigger moat. And there's certain things certain companies can do that don't necessarily generate extra revenue or profits, but it builds a bigger moat around it. A good example of that, a simple example, I think most people watching this, you can kind of understand this and you think about this, is Apple, right? Apple's done a lot of things over the years that they haven't made money off of, but it's built a bigger moat around them. Think about the blue text instead of the green text, right? And so people that are in the Apple ecosystem and have friends and family They want to get those blue texts as well, right? Think about the way Apple devices connect to each other and the fact that you can send texts and answer calls right from your Mac or from your iPad or things like that. Like Apple's been doing these things for 10 plus years now, and they've built a moat around the business. And it's not like Apple really directly benefits from that, making money off that, but it created a bigger moat around it because people are like, well, I don't really want to switch my phone because then it's not going to connect to my iPad or my MacBook or my Apple Watch the same and all these sorts of things, right? So I think that's a little food for thought there, that some companies will be huge beneficiaries, but it's going to be in sneaky ways. They might not make extra additional revenue right off the top, but it might actually create a much bigger moat around the business, which is, one important component when it comes to investing, right?
Even though, interestingly, Gemini was introduced yesterday, relatively early in the trading day. What's going on here? Why is it getting that reception, and how significant a competitor will it be in terms of putting Alphabet back in the running, so to speak, for the lead position?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, what Google showed off yesterday and the Gemini, and a lot of people are excited about that. Listen. A lot of the AI hype is now done. No, everybody's kind of in that cycle where we're waiting for numbers to start hitting for these companies over this next several quarters. The hype, the excitement of just like you show something off and your stock goes up, it's over. It's over. You look at AMD yesterday. AMD showed off their new chips and, that they're going to be very competitive. And Lisa Su's out there yesterday doing a bunch of interviews. And look what AMD stock went. The AMD stock went down yesterday, actually. Okay. And so we're no longer in the hype part. Now we're into, we want to see numbers. And if companies are putting up numbers, then they'll see their next big stock price moves. Outside of that, people are not going to buy the stocks.
Bullish on Alpha. I mean, in our opinion,
you're bullish on everything, Dan. Come on.
But importantly,
thank you for saying that. Thank you. We needed that.
On the sum of the parts, I don't believe that this is a stock that reflects the AI success that they're going to have. If you look at GCP, you look at Google Cloud, and the opportunity with Gemini, I think investors, what's happened is almost a delayed reaction. I think it's been a moment of truth for Google, and they came and delivered. And I believe in terms of this $1 trillion market over the next decade, they are going to be a significant player. But I believe enterprise, that's the golden goose that they're going after. And I think you could start.
Don't they have something to lose on the consumer front as they lose perhaps their position in search as by far the leader?
Yeah, I think right there, they're atop that mountain. I don't think that they're worried about Bing or anyone else from a search perspective. Table stakes relative to what Bing could ultimately get relative to on search. But enterprise, that's what they're going after. Right now, this Game of Thrones that's going on in tech between Alphabet, between Microsoft, Jassy, and AWS, as Kramer's talked about being out there, this is, to me, it's a 1995 moment. It is the biggest transformation that we've ever seen in tech. And we've talked about use cases are exploding. That's what Google is going after. That's why I think there's a moment we look back, a historical moment for Google.
I mean, that's part of the bull story of the market this year.
Yep.
The year that AI started getting priced in to NVIDIA and Microsoft and driving the whole market. Do we get that next year, or is all the good news in there already?
Well, this is the critical point you just brought up. I think of August 1995, the Netscape IPO. That's what launched the internet craze. And is this the pivotal moment? Is 2023 the pivotal year that AI had that once-in-a-generation pivot like the internet was in 1995? And I think you're onto something. First off, I think you should take a victory lap. You were right all this year. You've been relentlessly bullish. You've been mocked and laughed at for your relentless bullishness. But you've been directionally correct. You've been right on your calls. You've been wrong on your clothing for years and years and years. But we love you for that.
He's a clothing influencer. He's a clothing influencer.
You absolutely are.
I'm telling you, this man is making revenue from this.
The Reddit crowd is watching.
You got something going on there.
Sartorially, those tops from Bangkok, wherever you're getting.
And I was like, please don't tell my secrets.
Just keep doing it.
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. Let's take a peek at big tech stocks and how they're doing today. I am curious. I'm assuming it's a pretty good day based upon that Google move here today for big tech. Let's pull it up. Wow. Yeah. PayPal, seriously, PayPal? Well, you have my blessing to stay down for now, okay? next quarter you can start moving, but not yet. But it's hilarious. That's the one stock that's down here today. Yeah, AMD massive move up here today. Google massive move up. Meta massive move up. Definitely a lot of momentum kind of out there here today. No doubt about that. A lot of momentum out there, right? But Google and AMD, let's be very clear, they showed off their products yesterday during the trading day. So those stocks are not moving based upon what they showed off yesterday. They would have moved yesterday. This is a something else. Let's just call it that, okay? Investors are positioning for the everything rally. Oh, I'm looking forward to getting into this one.
Greg Tordo from Goldman Sachs Asset Management, a small cap manager, on yesterday talking about some of the opportunities. But we'll take a look at one other facet of this story, which is the run that small caps have seen and what's been driving it. So what has been behind some of
some of these small caps have been rolling big. Even today, I was looking out there and a few of my smalls, I was like, whoa, you'll be flipping my flapjacks out here. Honest is up 9 percentage points here today. Revolve's up, almost 9% as well. That's another small. Nordstrom kind of gets put in the small cap now. 5% move there. Avant's almost 4%. There's a lot of momentum in some of these smalls right now. No dang doubt about that. That's for sure.
Side volatility.
That's right, Dom. Thank you. And we've seen this tremendous everything rally, right? It's extended to the small caps. It's extended to gold, treasury yields yesterday hitting the lowest level since August. Even Bitcoin has been on a run up. And when you look under the hood, the options market, particularly in sectors like IWM, the Russell 2000, you're seeing people position for those gains to continue. People are paying up for options that could profit if those groups kept up this unbelievable rally. And it's really a sign.
Call options activity for Russell 2000. Yeah. Wow. People are finally starting to get bullish on Russell for the first time in years. How about that? Yeah, that bodes very well. I can tell you that bodes very well for the Russell 2000 next year. The fact that there's this many people starting to get excited about it and you get this sort of call options activity, that bodes very well for the Russell performance next year, I can tell you that much. Because it's been a long time since the investor community as a whole has been bullish on the Russell. It's been years, literally. We haven't seen bullish activity for the longest time here in regards to Russell. So seeing this, very good sign for the Russell for next year.
Bullishness
Just how strong is the options activity on a relative basis compared to what it historically...
Because you got to understand, here's the thing, okay? You got to understand this. If that many people are loading up on call options for the Russell, believe me, there's also a lot of people that are going to start buying shares and will continue to buy shares, right? Remember, every option contract also has 100 underlying shares there as well. So this is, I would say, extraordinarily bullish for the Russell for 2024 specific.
Or what the average trading volumes have been. How many people are buying so-called call options or bullish bets on that small cap ETF?
It's been tremendous. We saw activity hit an all-time high on Friday. And yesterday, for example, calls activity in TLT, one of the biggest treasury ETFs, also hit one of the highest levels on record. So there's really been a burst of activity in these sectors. And, the IWM trade has really been at the center of this soft landing trade that's dominated markets in the past few weeks. Of course, that is being tested this week.
Well, if you take a look at the reason why...
So based upon seasonality, usually the Russell's weak around this week and next week, and then shortly before you get to Christmas, usually the Russell starts to roll back, and then you have a phenomenal rest of December, January, February, and March, and then you start to see some weakness in the Russell again come April. So if we line up how we should line up based upon historical trends here, it should be a very beautiful next few months in regards to Russell, 4 months specific.
Buy everything mentality. Is there a reason why they're focusing specifically on places like the treasury market and long-term treasuries, right? Because that's what the TLT tracks. And then small cap stocks, they seem like very opposite ends of this kind of market risk spectrum.
That's such a good point. They do seem like opposite ends, but they both come down to this wager that the Fed is going to lower interest rates next year. It's all about real yields declining, and people are expecting that to help treasuries. People are expecting that to help the smallest companies in the market. which, as you know, they tend to be the most leveraged. They're the most sensitive to interest rates and borrowing costs. And they've really gotten crushed over the past year. So I think now people are saying, hey, if yields fall as they have, if the Fed cuts next year, that could give that sector a boost. And people have been trying to catch up there. That sector has underperformed this year, of course, underperforming the Magnificent Seven. And I think people are betting that maybe it can be this big rotation moving forward.
Yeah, and there's a high probability. I would say there's a very high probability. If you're wondering, what index returns the best in 2024, I would say there's a very high probability the Russell performs the best in 2024 overall. And there's a possibility that the other indexes have very modest gains, modest losses, something like that in 2024. But I do believe that regardless if the market goes up or down, and when I say the market, I'm talking S&P 500, I think the Russell will do better than all the other indexes. To be down on a fourth year, probably not very realistic.
Activity is great when it's working, but when it doesn't work, it can go wrong really quickly. That volatility aspect has been absent from the large cap market. The CBOE volatility index is languishing somewhere around 13 at this point, or maybe even below that. What's the outlook for volatility given the fast run up that we've seen in options activity tied to some of these parts of the market?
It's so fascinating because when you look at the S&P 500 index, people are not really expecting a lot of volatility there. The VIX has been edging lower towards some of its lowest levels this year. No one wants to hedge the S&P 500 right now. I think they're expecting things to stay calm and for the NVIDIAs and the Metas of the world to kind of carry us through the rest of the year. And that is so not the case in the Russell, which has been at the center of volatility. And I think people are expecting more fireworks there. There's really been some unbelievable divergences in how the Russell is trading compared with the broader market. It was up 3% on Friday, was holding on to some of its gains yesterday and trading before turning lower. So I think that's been at the center of market action. I think that's the biggest thing to watch, especially with jobs tomorrow, as to how people are positioning in the soft landing trade. That's where people are placing their bets.
Yeah, if people aren't hedging going into next year, and especially if they have big accounts, let me be very clear about this. They are making a large mistake. The way I would look at it is it's like saying, I'm not going to get in a car accident, so I don't need auto insurance today. I got to drive over, to that house over there, but you know what? I don't need the car insurance today. I don't think my house is going to burn down today, so I don't need homeowners insurance today. Okay. If you have especially a big portfolio, little hedging. I'm staying hedged for 2024. I hope all those hedges expire worthless, because that will mean it was a phenomenal year for my stocks and I made ridiculous sums of money. But just in case 2024 is not a good year or something like that, my hedges will print me money and it'll save me a lot on the other side, and I'll be able to take that money and put it into long position. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that, okay? Appreciate y'all joining me as always. Thanks so much for being here, folks. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. New all-time high subscribers in the history of the channel. Join me over on Twitch. We got a 3-hour beast coming right now. Pin comment down there. Much love and have a great day.